Welcome back to the profit and loss section. In today's section, we're going to talk about your gross profit line. And your gross profit line is directly below your cost of goods sold. And recall from the last segment, your cost of goods sold is your job labor, your materials, supplies, anything that is directly related to the work that you perform for your customer. So on your gross profit line, it's very, very simple. It is your total revenue minus your cost of goods sold. And so you'll come up with a dollar amount, which we'll show in our same example that we've been using, which is the $186,000 in this case. Now this $186,000, what you want to do is to figure out how much of that, how much of your profit is this, how much of the sales that you've made is wrapped up in your cost of goods sold. So let's just do some quick math, and I'll show you here. So we're going to take $186,245.98, and we're going to divide it by the total income, which is $755,522.50. So we get, you move this decimal point over 2 spots, and we come up with 24.65, or basically 24.7% of your sales is related to your cost of goods sold. Now that's really not too bad, because depending upon the type of construction that you do, the percentages range from anywhere between 21 and 42%. So 24-25% is pretty darn good. So one thing I want to point out is for your gross profit, so gross profit is important, but again, this is the number that is before your expenses, before your overhead expenses, and these are basically your direct costs. So regardless of, okay, let me back up. So what I mean by your overhead expenses is regardless of the work that you do and the sales that you bring in for that particular time frame, these expenses pretty much just do not change, right? You're always going to have an internet. You're always going to have fuel. You're always going to have advertising, bank charges, repairs and maintenance, rents, taxes that you have to pay. Anything that it costs you to run your business. These are all the things that, not inclusive, but all of the things that you would pay on a monthly basis that really aren't going to fluctuate like they would based on the number of jobs you have, the size of the jobs. So we're going to talk about your expenses in the next section along with your net income, which is really where you want to pay attention, is on that very bottom line, because that's the telltale sign of, did you break even, did you have a loss, or did you actually make an income? And in a construction industry, the average you want to hit is roughly about 8%. If you can be around 8%, let's use that as our target. That is the most recent example that I've heard of, according to the Markup and Profit Contractor's Guide that I use when I'm working with clients. So according to their resources, 8% is what you want to target. And anything in between there is great. As long as you're above the line, it's a win. But obviously you don't want to be, putting forth all of that effort and those hours and taking that risk for just 0.5% of net income. You really want to be making some income, because that's where your equity is going to come from. So gross profit is above the expense line. It is directly below your cost of goods sold, and this tells you how much of every dollar of your sale, of all your sales, goes directly to your job-related costs. Okay, so that is gross profit, and I will see you in the next section to talk about expenses.